Thank you for joining me today. I am going to show you how to work out the yardage you will need for pinch pleat headed curtains, how many drops you'll need in each panel, and then I'm going to go on and show you how to work out how many pleats and how many gaps that you need in the header. So let's get on with it. I have recently made some curtains for a friend. The pole was 171 inches long, and then it was 99.75, or should I say 99 3/4 from the top of the pole to the floor. A drop is from here to the floor or wherever they're going to take it. So you need to know how many drops you've got, and you need to also know what the pattern repeat is. So if you've got a pattern here, 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 and then here, it might be that all of them fit in, or it might be you have to add another one for up here, which you end up cutting some of it off anyway because of where you've put the hem and the header. So in order to work out how many drops you need, I usually do it twice. So I'll do 2.5 times the width, which is 171, and then I'll do 3 times 171. You might have a different number for these. So 2.5 times 171 equals 427.5, and then 3 times 171 equals 513. The width of the fabric from here to here is generally 54 inches, so we've got to divide both of those numbers by 54, which I'm going to put here. 2.5 times and 3 times equals 427.5 divided by 54 equals, I'd go 8 drops for that one. So here 513 divided by 54 equals 9.5 drops. For pinch pleat headings, 8 drops is a little bit skimpy, and 9.5 means that I'd either have to go up to 10 or down. So I'm going to cross that off, and I'm going to put 9 drops of fabric into the curtains, which means each side has 4.5 drops each. Now, what we want to do is determine how much fabric we want for the lining and for the face fabric. So we're going to put lining here and face fabric, and we're going to do 9 drops of each. For the lining, we're going to make that 100 inches, 4 inches for the hem, plus 4 for the header. So that comes to 108. So 9 times 108, we have 972. Now we want to work out the yardage, so that's divided by 36 equals 27 yards. So we've got 9 at 100 plus 4 for the hem, and then we're going to put 8 for the header because it's a crinoline and usually it's only 4 inches. If you've got 5 inches, then put 10 in. You have to work out what kind of header you've got. So we now have 9 times 112 equals, it's a really big number, over 1,000 inches, and then we're going to divide that by 36 to get the yardage, which brings it down to 28 yards. We have lining at 27 yards and face fabric at 28 yards. If you have a pattern repeat, you need to add 8 times the pattern repeat on top of here, and that's only if the pattern is a large pattern. So if you've got plain or a small pattern, you don't have to add it. Something that's not going to be causing you problems. If it's a larger pattern, always add. Because you've got 9, you only need to have 8, or 9 it's up to you. Hopefully that's quite clear. Now the second part of this project is to work out how much you want in each panel. So you've got panel 1 and panel 2. Now half of 171 is, I'm going to make it 86. So I'm going to put 86 there. And then you need to add what they call a return. So you want one return there and one return there. And that's usually 4 or 5 inches. So I'm going to make it easy. I'm going to add 2 inches to either end. So that's 4 equals 90. So each of these headers has to be 90 inches. Now when I measured these, I had one side was 241 and a half, and the second side was 243. Not much difference. They often are. By the time you've put your hem in here, put the lining in and adjusted the second hem to fit, it could be that there's too much lining or not enough lining, either way. And there could be any number of reasons why it happens. So I need to reduce this to 90 inches. 243 minus 90 equals 153 to go into the pleats. Now this I also do twice, and I reverse think it as well. The minimum you want in a pleat is 6 inches. 153 divided by 6 inches, maximum 25 pleats. And they're also quite skimpy. I could do it 6.5, I could do it 7. So preferred would be about 8. We've got 153 divided by 8 gives me 19 pleats. Now that's still a lot in each side to do. You don't want them much bigger than 8 because then they get really deep. 8.5 I would say max, but somewhere between those two numbers is ideal for your pleats. Now that gives me 1 pleat in the center. Now I want 18 gaps from 86 inches. So I'll put 86 divided by 18 equals 477. So each gap has to be 4.77, which is a ridiculous number. We'll make it 4.75, which is 4 3/4. Now before I forget, I need to reverse the pleats. 19, so 153 divided by 19, and that is actually 8, just over 8. Always check your pleats into your leftover fabric, because although I put in that I wanted them to be 8 inches, they could have ended up being 8.25 or 8 point whatever. You're guessing to start off with. Always double check your numbers one way and then back the other way. Up here is we have a return with pleats like that. I put the center pleat in first. When they're done, I want that to the end to be 45 inches, and then I want that to this end 45 inches. It's easier. So I start in the center and I move one way all the way to the end. The return should be, by the time I've finished, 2 to 2.5 inches, although I only allocated 2 inches there, and the same on the other side. This is my center pleat, and I am moving across 4 3/4. And remember, the width of the pleat should be just over 8 inches, so that makes up for any difference. And I'm going to move over 8 inches. I'm going to take the pin out from the back there because I don't need it. Measure across to my 8 inches like that. And that's both sides of my pleat, which I fold over like that and sew into place. I'm on the last 2 pleats of this. So what I need to do on this end, this is the lead edge. I had 3 inches, just like on the other one, like that. I'm going to pop in my 8 inches from here to here. Now this should be 4 3/4 there, followed by another 8. I'm going to measure backwards, and that gives me 4 inches. I'm going to make that 4 3/4 to there, because it's really the gap that I'm looking for, not what's in the pleat. Now, what's left here? 7 1/4. I'm going to make my pleat 7 1/2 inches, so a little bit longer. The size of the pleat being slightly narrower is not going to affect this at all. I'm going to play with it, make sure that I get it even. Just that to 4 3/4 and see what I've got here. Okay, so that comes at 7 3/4. I'm going to make that 7 5/8, I think, and then I'll make the other pleat 7 5/8. It's really not going to be a problem. As I say, the last 2 pleats are the ones I mess around with. They're the ones that, if I have to make an alteration, if it's too big, then I'll do it on the 3 pleats. So that's 7 5/8, 7 5/8. Perfect. So I'm going to pull this one up, fold that all the way across like that with the lining, and then pull the 2 sides together, just as I have all the way along. And in here is a pin. I'm going to take that pin out because there's nothing worse than trying to get those pins out when everything's sewn together. I hope the information I gave you didn't turn out to be as clear as mud. I tried to explain it in a way that's understandable, that's simple. I have taught this at college to my students when I taught at college. I'm just hoping I covered everything that I needed to. My suggestion is to always go for odd number of pleats, so you always have a centre pleat. It's easier to measure out each side, keep everything nice and easy, and to have pleats between 6 inches or 8 inches. 8 1/2 is a little bit big, and you definitely don't want to go to anything less than 6. So that's my advice to you. Good luck with your pinch pleat curtains. If you want to hear more from me, please subscribe, hit the bell button, and a few thumbs up would be brilliant. And in the meantime, take care. See you later. Ciao.